Hello, Hastings. Welcome to another Tales of Love, where we meet local couples and get to hear their stories of how they met, how they proposed, how they got married, all that fun stuff. And also hear from them, get some advice on how you have a good marriage. And also, we have some fun questions we're going to throw at them too. This time around, I am joined by the Brauckses, Tommy and Lori Braucks. Thank you for joining us. And these guys, you may recognize Lori from City Council meetings on Channel 16, which I'm sure all of you watch diligently, right?
I do. But...
Yeah.
And you guys do, right?
Yeah.
New City Council member. And Tommy here, you might recognize from Black Dirt Theater, did a lot of work with them and has a background in law enforcement. So, and both of you grew up in Hastings.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go right to the story here on how you two became you two and where you met. Who would like to take the lead on that?
Yeah. So at the time we were both just out of college, just kind of relocating back to Hastings or settling into Hastings more. I was a youth pastor here in town, and I was running a college worship kind of event for just all the area college students. And she was a young adult leader at the Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
So we reached out to my friend who's the youth pastor at the Harbor and invited to this event. And so they started, they came to the first one, and then I saw her there. And
tell me about that first impression.
Well, I'll just say I wanted to get to know her a lot more. So
apparently, it just requires a down black puffy vest. That was.
Yes,
the kicker.
well, anyhow. But yeah, I mean, she was a leader like myself. We had the same values, same beliefs, and we're both available. So
That's key. That's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good timing.
So
how did you approach Lori here?
I didn't really. I was like any kind of single guy, you're just gun shy and whatnot. But
I think it was just I was so stunning you didn't know what to say.
I was intimidated. Yeah. So yeah, I asked our mutual friend in common, and just what's the story, what's the background,
Smart, doing a background check, law enforcement. Yeah.
Exactly. So the first month we just we professionally kind of emailed once a week, it was thanks for coming to the event. Here's the next one, and then by the next month it was a couple times a week, just more personal, and then by the third month it was several times a day.
I remember filling out a lot of quizzes.
Yeah.
Quizzes. Wow, you're a thorough background check guy, huh?
Favorite color, favorite movie, favorite.
Yeah.
I remember exchanging a lot of that kind of information.
Yeah. Yep.
And Lori, what was your first impression of this guy? What did you think?
I wasn't looking for a relationship at the time, so I was really surprised that something was happening, because I had kind of decided about 6 months before that I wasn't going to date anybody. So I actually wasn't really looking for a relationship, and so it kind of surprised me and took me off guard a little bit. And our friend Nick approached me at a Super Bowl party that he had at his house to talk to me about it. And when he said, "I have to tell you something," I kind of went, what? I didn't know who or what it was going to be. I was really nervous, and I thought because I was in this group of people that it was going to be someone in my group of friends, which really freaked me out because I just didn't want that. I wanted to be friends with everybody. So he said, it was the drummer from the thing that we went to. You should, he might be interested in you. And I was like, okay. I honestly didn't know what to think. I was kind of surprised.
So how did you initiate that, do that first date?
Well, so yeah, we were circling around email forever. And,
months.
So
very thorough.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So her friends, one of our friends, they got sick of it and had hosted a party.
So,
And,
well, wait, they would give me his number, and they would give him my number, and then nothing would happen. And then they'd be like, we should do something together, and then we wouldn't. And you should call him, you should do this. And I was just like, I wasn't planning on being in a relationship. I don't know what to do here, I had resolved in my mind that I wasn't going to be in a relationship. So I was really I guess I was kind of gun shy in a way. It's just I don't know if this is the right thing, but...
So, no, and even about that with our history too, we had the same circle of friends, for about almost a year prior to we met.
Probably several years.
Yeah, but even that first, about 9 months before we started we met and started dating. Like we had the same circle of friends, so the same like social events. Like so we were at the same parties. We found out later, but we just kept missing each other.
Well, we also went
So-
to high school together.
Well, yeah, but everyone's different in high school.
Everyone is
changes,
different in high
exactly.
school.
But yeah, but like so 9 months before we actually met, like we were missing each other in passing. Like I would go to the party early and have to leave early, and she would show up late, you know, and like vice versa. So there was a kind of like a How I Met Your Mother teaser for 9 months of just missing each other, passing each other by.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite the right time yet.
Exactly, and
My-
that was
yeah.
the biggest thing. Like we definitely respect the timing that it happened. A month earlier, a month later, it might have been totally different, you know.
So you two, so then you had your friend set up this party where you
Yeah.
two got
Super
together.
awkward.
It
Yeah.
was super awkward because it
Yeah.
was all my friends and people that
Yeah.
I knew,
And
and
I knew
then
a couple people, yeah.
it was a lot of couples because a
Yeah.
lot of my friends were married or in significant relationships. And I was at the house where my goddaughter, so it's my friends and my goddaughter, their daughter. So I know them all really well, and he kind of knows them. And so I remember we played Texas Hold'em,
Yeah.
and I wiped him out of all his chips,
Nice.
and as an act of love, of course.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
And
Maybe I'll let you win as an actor.
maybe,
Oh,
yeah.
that's-
It depends on who you ask.
Right. Yeah. Had several pocket aces I was folding.
Right. Yeah. So then we went to sit down on the couch. We were all going to watch a movie. I don't remember what it was.
No, we
but-
were playing that DVD trivia game.
Oh,
that
seen
I
it.
cleaned up at.
Yeah, Tommy's really good at movie trivia. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, we sat down, and of course, you know, we were encouraged to sit next to each other. And then her friend,
Was it one of those? Oh, look, there's 2 seats on that couch. Lori.
it was really
Yeah,
cheesy.
exactly. But it was
But
even more so.
apparently
It's
we're
like
both so stubborn it required that kind of effort.
and so like then she like the host like grabbed a blanket and threw it at us like here. Like so like basically now we're sitting under a blanket together.
And we're
this
like,
is-
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is super awkward.
yeah, crazy awkward, but we rolled with it.
What are we gonna do
So-
with this blanket exactly?
So yeah, so then the party came to an end, and it was time. Everyone, it was time to go home, and it was a Saturday night, and I remember, yeah, we just all got in our cars and left, and like I felt like just like this was like too like there was more like it was too, yeah, it was too sudden, or it wasn't enough. You know, wanted to hang out more, so I was.
Meanwhile,
Okay, meanwhile. Okay, well I don't know.
There's a meanwhile.
Meanwhile, I had my lock of my car had frozen. And
Oh.
so I'm trying to get into my car to leave, and I'm trying to get the key in the lock, and it's frozen. So I'm like blowing on my lock.
I've
and-
already left at this
Yeah,
point.
and he had,
Okay.
had taken off. So I was kind of like, he left me stranded here, locked out of my car.
Way to go, Tommy.
She was surrounded by her friends
Yeah, they did
at
help
their
me.
friend's house.
Yeah,
He was still upset about losing all his chips, I think.
yeah, it
Yeah,
might have
maybe,
been. Yeah,
Then you buy yourself a de-icer.
well,
Anyhow, so I was driving away and like I was looking at my phone and like I should call her. I don't know. I don't even know if
Your
I have her
phone.
number. Yeah.
your Nokia phone.
So like,
One of those ones.
I don't even know if I have her number. And then like, oh, I have her number. And like my button's on send. You know, like what am I gonna say? How am I gonna say it? And then when my phone rings, and it's her number calling me.
Oh.
So what was your side of that conversation?
Well, I finally got in my car.
Right,
That
yeah.
was the first thing. And then I thought, well, this just seems weird because we didn't really get to talk to each other. We were with all
Right.
these other people. And so I said, I don't really know. I mean, I know him kind of, but I just thought, we should sit down and talk to each other. And so we went to the romantic
Hastings.
Hastings
Mainstay of
Perkins.
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 Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first date.
Yeah.
And then we sat there and we probably went at like
Until
10:30.
We got there, and
Yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 a.m. before we left.
Yep.
Let's fast forward to the proposal. Tell me, how did the ring come about?
So, I saved as much money as I could. I was working. And of course, it was by that time, this was by the fall, where it's like, I priced out online, or Lori's like, here's what I would like. She researched,
BlueNile.com. I have
Exactly,
a
yeah.
picture of it and I
researched
slide
everything
it
she wanted.
across the table.
Like, it's just, there's no other way you can get to that point except by
Just being up for it.
Did she have pictures up in the bathroom mirror? And
No,
then just
no,
you
no,
happen
like
to find
that.
another picture by the coffee
No.
and everything like that?
No.
I was like, I really want this Tahari one, but I would take this one.
Yeah, so even options, yeah.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We had
so
already decided.
we'd
that-
already talked about
Yeah,
that,
we
yeah.
already decided that we were
Yeah.
going to get married. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah,
So.
so we probably started dating in April. It was 3 months before we kind of realized like this is a, Lori had a vacation with her family and we were apart. And that was the first time apart, and we realized like we'd rather be together than apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then we just talked to our pastor, made plans. we penciled in our wedding date before we were even engaged, just to,
Oh, really?
just to make sure he was available,
Yeah.
And so it was getting to Christmas Eve, and I had planned on Christmas Eve.
So he had told me that we would get engaged before the end of the year.
Right. Yeah.
So just in your mind, think about how close that Christmas
Yeah.
Eve is the end of the year. So like, I did know it was going to happen sometime in the next week and a half.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't going to be a total out of left field anyway.
No,
so.
it wasn't. It wasn't. Which is fine.
So yeah, and so we made plans. Her sister came in town for Christmas a little early. Her sister's in Colorado, so she flew in a little early. Her dad had to go get her and sit her in service, and I kind of had some things planned out, and because I just wanted to be around all of her friends and family, just all the people that loved her and cared for her and kind of saw her through this road. And so after service, I tried to meet her, have her meet me in the corner. I had a friend play one of our songs from We're Dating on acoustic guitar in the background. Then had her dad bring in like the box that contained the ring. And I think my mom came too, and she had like a bouquet of flowers.
That tipped me off a
Well,
little
I
bit.
know, but yeah.
Yeah, that tipped me off that something was going on.
So, but like the problem was the room was filled. It was like in the sanctuary, and so the room was filled, and like it was taking forever for Dad to navigate the crowds. So she's already figured it out. She's already starting to cry. And so at one point, and this was all filmed too.
Yeah, it was
we
on
have a
YouTube
video.
for a long time.
Yeah,
I don't know if it still is.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but so at one point you can see her leaning in, and all she says is like, "Can we just get this over?" Just like that, and
well,
so
because
like I'm sweating, like I'm just nervous. I'm trying to keep it together. I'm trying to keep her, calm and whatnot.
I felt like I was gonna emotionally break down in front of like 75 people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wasn't ready for that.
Right. So finally, he got there, so her dad handed me the box. It was this old wood box that I saved, like I'd saved since I was like a teenager or something. That like this is the box I'm used to propose, And it was like these two Dutch, a Dutch boy and a Dutch girl kissing, or giving each other a rose.
It was like a music box.
Yep. And then it opened, and I think it's Blue Danube or something.
Yeah.
Music box, and it had the rose petals from the first rose I gave you in it. And it had a note that was, "Will you marry me? Check yes, check no." And then underneath that, I think it was a fortune cookie I might have saved too from earlier.
Yep.
And then what was the ring? So I got down on the knee, and she
So
nodded her head.
you may have deduced who is the more sentimental person.
Do you have the ring on you right now?
I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes,
Take a
I
look at
do.
that. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bling, bling. And so Lori, tell us about the wedding day. What'd you guys have planned? What'd you do?
So we wanted to get married. It was hard because I grew up, the church I'm at now I grew up in. So I have a lot of people there that have been in my life for a long time, like 30-ish years. So it was important to me to get married in that place. And so we had all of our, it was a 200-person wedding.
Yeah, that's what we
did
agreed for, yeah.
We filmed a kind of what we're doing here, our story, because a lot of people that my relatives and stuff hadn't even met Tommy, and they were coming to our wedding because it wasn't, a year and a half, and you don't always see everybody, and so we kind of wanted the people to. Our goal was that we would have a wonderful day, but also we wanted to make sure that everyone in our lives knew that they were a part of getting us there, and that it was important that we respected their time, and so we tried to arrange everything so that it was convenient and it went quickly. I mean, we wanted it to be nice, but also just we wanted to respect and honor all the people in our lives that had, helped us get to this point in our development, in our personal development, relationship development. And so that was kind of always in the forefront of my mind, which really helped me because I think without that in the front of my mind, I would have been sort of a bridezilla, because I was the kind of kid who had the wedding planned in my mind since I was 5. And I loved princess movies and like Cinderella. So like the ideas in my mind about relationships and romantic, love were probably a little unrealistic. But it was a beautiful, wonderful day. It was really nice. We got married at our church, and then we had the reception at the country club.
Going into it, we had the night before we had our groom's dinner. This is one of my favorite stories to not tell.
Now it's going to be documented for all time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had our groom's dinner, and then I had arranged so after the groom's dinner, the groomsmen would come to me to the apartment. I had like new bedroom furniture ordered in, and we're gonna set it up, put the sheets on, get it all arranged for our life together. And so we did all that, and but then we had all this cardboard left over. So we had this. The apartment was this fourplex, and it had this dumpster that wasn't big enough. But so we let just throw all the cardboard in the dumpster. Well, the cardboard now occupied the entire dumpster. The trash day was yesterday, the day before, and it was like twice as tall as the dumpster filled. And so, in my defense, one of my groomsmen, his dad owned a trash company, which he worked at, and another guy was had a master's degree in electrical engineering, also worked at the trash company. So I thought they knew what they were talking about. And cardboard burns at a low enough temperature, we can just burn it in the dumpster. Like, all right, let's do it. And so we are out there with the lighter, and then the wind was picking up, which is probably a sign, like, knock it off. But that just made us more stubborn, so we're trying harder. So I give up. I go inside to just supervise with the finishing touches. And I hear from the open window, boy, I really hope Tommy doesn't look outside right now. And I look outside, and there's the flames coming out of the dumpster are like the height of the building, like 3 times the height of the dumpster,
like almost touching the electrical wires above.
Exactly. Yep.
The dumpster.
And the problem was so the dumpster has drainage holes, which acted as air intakes for this jet engine of cardboard fuel that was just roaring. And so I grabbed the apartment-sized fire extinguisher, which is less than a 2-liter of pop, and run out there. And we can only, basically at this point, we can only use that to put out the embers that are flying around the yard. And this is fall too, so it's dry season.
Right.
So one friend's just managing that, just making sure it doesn't spread, and uses the fire extinguisher for that. I get a mop bucket and start a 1-bucket brigade from the house to the dumpster.
I'm so glad I wasn't there.
It got so hot, it burned the metal back to its prime, and at one point I noticed the logo on the front just spontaneously combusted. Like, it got that hot. It basically, it refined the metal back to its core, and so we're getting it under control, but we noticed the plastic the plastic lid is coming off the hinge, so we better contain this mess, and one person flips it in. So now it's a plastic fire. And it's just going from worse to worse. And then finally it burns out, everything's taken care of, but now there's this rotting, dumpster. And I haven't even moved in yet. That was supposed to be my first night with the new landlord and moving in. And
that was your first night in the place. And you burned the dumpster.
Yes.
Yep. And so then, but on top of it, to add salt to the wound, I had to bring Lori her laptop or something. So she's at her parents' house with all the bridesmaids.
And my sister.
And so I have to, now I have this, not only am I getting married, but now I have this responsibility and weight on my shoulders. And I have to poker face it for Lori, so she doesn't know. Because if she knows about that, then why was there the cardboard? Well, it's because of the surprise, and et cetera, et cetera. So, hey, here's your laptop.
No, you came to my parents' house, I opened the door and I looked at him and I knew something was wrong. And I mean, yeah, something's wrong, but something's wrong that much the day before you're getting married. You're like, what is going on? So I just looked at him and he had...
And why do you smell like a campfire? It smell like plastic.
Well, I said, I think I remember saying to you, why do you look like the cat that ate the canary? Because you looked so guilty. And I was just like, what in the world happened? But it lasted about you gave it to
Did he have his eyebrows still?
Yeah, he had his
Yeah.
eyebrows. But I had no idea what it was. So I just, I
Yeah,
kind of went,
I
oh,
just said I'm
that's
tired
weird.
and, yeah.
Okay. And
Yep.
just went back to whatever I was doing. Didn't really
Yep.
think about it.
So yeah. So
But
I,
in retrospect, I'm like, I should have thought about that a little more.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you had a little bit on your mind.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next morning I went to the landlords. They'd already heard about it because the neighbors,
One of the other neighbors had lived there for
called.
15 years and kind of
And
kept an
called.
eye on the property and
Yeah.
what the goings on.
Yep.
So the fire department never got. Did they ever?
It was out in the country, and we contained
Oh.
it, so
Yeah, no,
No.
there wasn't.
that would be.
was-
Oh my goodness, that would have been awful.
Yeah.
For the fire department show up too, but so yeah, it wasn't by the building. It just was kind of
Okay.
self-contained. But so yeah, I talked to the landlords the next morning, and they knew Lori, loved Lori, knew what the day was, meant, and so like, don't
They
worry
were
about
very
it.
kind.
Yeah, they said, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out, and we'll just enjoy your wedding and your honeymoon, and we'll figure it out later. So they're very gracious.
Well, let's fast forward here. How many years have you been married now?
7.5 years.
Yes.
7.5 years. So, love to hear from you. What tips you have, or what advice you were given that you felt really helped you keep it going for 7.5 years?
I think like for us, like we see it as instead of a contract where we're both agreeing to do this, and like so then if you don't meet your end, then I don't have to meet my end, kind of thing. Like we see it as like a covenant, or like I'm absolutely committing to the fullness of this, and I'm also absolutely committing to the fullness of this. So if one is sick or falls short or is grumpy, there's still somebody fully bridging the relationship, and we pull each other up and get ourselves back to 100. But like that was the basis for and so for us, like there's no alternative, there's no plan B. Like this is whatever happens, we have to work through it and commit to it.
I feel like I have good role models. I have my parents that have been married for almost 40 years. My grandparents have been married for almost 60 years. And so I feel like I know what that looks like, which I think is helpful. Mm-hmm. But then also it's just a lot of hard work. It's hard when you're both stressed. It's hard when you run a campaign together. It was hard.
Yep.
And we had lots of long days, and I think you just have to communicate, forgive, move on, and there's a lot of forgiveness. I think that's the key, is just, I don't know,
Yeah.
you have to put the other person before yourself,
Yep.
because otherwise it would be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I have some fun quick fire questions for you now.
Okay.
We've reached that round. Let's start with you, Tommy. Your favorite gift you ever received from Lori, or gesture?
Oh my goodness. So many to choose from.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
He's doing good so far.
I'll say allowing me to put in my home theater system downstairs. That was very gracious.
That's nice.
Mine is, Tommy made me for our anniversary, he made me a book, like a,
Our first anniversary.
yeah, it was a book of just things that he loved about me and pictures of us, and it was a kind of a homemade scrapbook thing.
Yeah,
It was very cool,
In the
and
style
it
like
was-
Da Vinci's
It was
notebook. Yeah.
very, very well done.
Yeah.
Did you have a square from that blanket that you guys shared at that party in there, or anything like that?
No.
You need to find that blanket, Tommy.
I know. We probably could still.
Yeah, probably could. Yeah. Yeah.
Favorite Valentine's memory?
Yeah.
I know.
St. Paul.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd set up a scavenger hunt clue thing, internet maps.
Probably also the most expensive date we ever went on. Coincidentally.
Maybe. No. There's been others, but
I had to meet him at the St. Paul Hotel, and we
yeah,
stayed
I'd
there.
left clues for her to figure that out.
It was a
based on-
website actually, and
Yeah.
it had its own website. It was very
Yeah, so like the address was the answer to a riddle and whatnot. And,
yeah.
So like she showed up at the hotel room, Key was waiting for her at the desk under this code name.
I have a ton of nostalgia for St. Paul because my family lived
Yeah.
there. So before Hastings, my dad's family and my mom's family are both from St. Paul. So for some reason, there's something about downtown St. Paul I just love. And so I think, it was awesome because it was all downtown and Rice Park was lit up and it was just beautiful. I love the Landmark Center and all that whole area.
So yeah, we had a nice dinner, hotel room, and then I had a spa package for her the next day.
Yes, that was the best part.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah,
That was awesome.
that was a good Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Well, this was an awesome interview. Thank you both very much for your time and sharing your stories. Some great stories there. Very hot stories, sounds like.
And we have a little Lego set of a burning dumpster if you want to.
Yeah,
Oh, do you?
somebody
One of our
gave
friends gave us that to remember
as a
it,
gift.
to remember it by. We're like, we won't forget that.
Yeah, it's eerie. Yeah.
That one's kind of burned in the memory, right? No pun
Yeah,
intended,
yeah.
right? Yep, exactly. We need the drum set. Well, again, thank you both for Tommy and Lori Braucks, a great couple here in Hastings, sharing their tales of love.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.